Okay, so we're gonna give 18CZ another start attempt. My first one was failed. If you want to get some of my first thoughts on the system and how the initial starts out, and watch the failed video. I'll be showing the narrative here, but I'll probably be interjecting a little bit less about those initial thoughts. And for some people, those interjections are why they watch my videos. So, because there are probably people who know the game better who've done playthroughs. I have seen other people have put stuff up on this one. It's kind of cool that there are other people doing 18xx's in fairly larger quantities now. Of course, it hurts me because I used to be the only source, but clearly my own way of doing things is rather quirky, and there are folks who are more mainstream, let's just say. I have to point out though that my valuation of these larger privates is slightly less than it was. I was aware when I made the bidding that, yeah, I wouldn't be able to sell them immediately, but the big strike of being able to collect $50, 45, $50 a private is appealing. Yes, you're not making that much back. So, for this thing, if I spend 55 for it, and I only get 45 back, I've lost 10. Of course, I've also produced another 40, so I come out positive overall. But selling the big ones right away wouldn't have been that valuable anyway, which is what I was doing, just generating extra capital with them illicitly. But these smaller ones, I can buy them for 25, and I can make, well, I probably am not going to be able to sell it for 40, but I can make an immediate 20 bucks off of it in addition to the 5 bucks. Yes, that saddles the company with a problem, but obviously, as I start spending more on the smaller ones, they become less of a bonus in that case. So anyway, there's a lot to keep in mind. I doubt I'll be selling out the whole portfolio simply because buying one of these at 50 early in the game doesn't make a lot of sense. It just doesn't. So there's something kind of interesting there. Buying this at 80 might make more sense because it's still making a quarter of its value every time it runs. That's a better payoff than the smallest one is in terms of just net income. But on the other hand, very quickly shares we saw get up to the kind of payoff that we're looking at even for the largest of the privates. So yeah, I don't think there is, I think if anything I'm a little more hesitant to pick them up. Fairly balanced progression, but a little shocking. The mediums, 2 of them went first. Again, this is die roll. Then the big guy who's the best return on investment, but it's a bigger investment and you have to hold on to it longer. And then a couple of small ones and another large one went. Now we're back down here because we're doing the snake system. The snake, we're seeing diversity appearing. This guy getting 1 of each. That gives him enough money to still start a company. He's probably done. I wasn't really thrilled with the late start that we saw. It's still possible, but I'm probably skewed more against that happening. And everybody set themselves up so that they can start a company. We got a couple of people who are going to be starting at 50, others starting closer to the 70 high end of things. I think we may have a 65 in there, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. We ate up a lot of them actually, maybe more than last time. Let me fold those up, put the money back in place, and then try to remember that they're there this time. Better feel for which companies are going to start off and be in a good position to begin with. So the first company to go was the OFE. I really liked how this was set up. It's sitting on a Y. It's going to be able to connect 2 cities nicely. That looked good to me. VBW, close to 2 Ys, sounds nice. Of course, there is a problem. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's the same distance as the EKJ. The EKJ is probably going to start at a higher price because this got picked first. So there's some cost to that. But I am right next to a Y. That's sweet. BCB, I didn't like going this way, but there's no reason I can't go this way to begin with and then pay that extra money to hook up to the BN as needed. The upgrades for this, it just became too expensive. And that'll kind of cut off the MW and OFE in terms of good connections. The MW could just shoot down, but how valuable is that? I don't know. Yeah, it's really not until it connects into another railway, because the MW is using the smallest type of train, which is impacted by those dots in the most negative fashion. That leaves the last two players with the choice between the MW and the EKG. And I think the EKJ is the better of the two choices. Nobody's sitting on a pile of money at the beginning. That means maybe less investment money starting out, but we'll see how it flows. We got the ordering down. There's two people with $5 and the rest are at 0, which is kind of sweet. And now we pay out those privates. There's an initial problem with the BCB doing what I want it to do, which is I need to hit here. And that means the MW, which goes earlier than it, we've already laid our track. Yeah, I've switched the style of track I use. If I can't cope with it, I'll swap back, but whatever. So if I curve down immediately, I get the jump, but I miss a run because of that. And the $30 space may not be worth that. I also can't go this way, which means I think I have to take, instead of this, this. Let's stick to what we said. And then start hooking that up. Maybe not. Maybe not. Here's why. I think I can get away with this, because I'm not sure that I lose this race. Here's the thing. The MW has already bought 2 deuces. They're going to want to run this and this. I think I can make it down here before them. I still want to connect this up though a little quicker. The other option would be a sharp turn here, grab this. It's a little cheaper, but on the overall I think I want to get into Prague before as early as possible, because it's going to improve and I want to be in a position to take advantage of that as soon as I can. MW started this game and bought 2 trains. I know they want to hook up. There's nothing much they can do. They're going to go after me, but they bought that second train. That's a signal. So I bought 2 trains with the OFE, and we're going to hook up. And I'm going to get the advantage out of it, but, you know. I'm not quite sure why the MW bought its second train right away. We'll see. There's also the opportunity here, but the BCB definitely also goes after the MW, so I probably should have been holding things off. That means we're actually going to hit the B trains before the end of the first round, which means if there was money available, and there might be, he could buy $80. That's not going to be enough. 105 is not going to be able to buy 3 shares at 60. But if it was a smaller number of players, it might be available for someone. Oh, he's not the one who's going anyway. The company that's going right now is the VBW, which could only pull in 40 extra, 65, 75, 80. again, definitely not enough to start a company. BCB had to buy a train that I didn't grab them. So they'll get an A. That means the first B goes into the OFE. And we get our export, which is a B this time. We're almost through the B's actually. And the C's are the 3 trains, so that'll change things significantly. I gotta look at that cheat sheet to see. The C's don't change anything really. These are still the same kind of, oh no. See, here's what it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you what kind of train you're looking at, the 3 different types of trains. And that's what kills me here, is the small train. I'm curious what it is. Well, it says it's a 3, and there's a 2+2 on the medium train and nothing on the large train. Does it say that here? No. This is the number of trains you can hold. It doesn't tell you the type of train that is on that card, which is a piece of information that I really need, and that card looks complicated enough that I thought I should have it. Okay, so as before, we exported, we go here, and we're on the stock round, and I gotta remember, there's those if I want them. Player 1 has 40 bucks on hand. There are companies that are worth 40 bucks. His own VBW and the OFE. For reasons that I've expressed before, being able to sell a share without hurting yourself, etc., I am going to buy that OFE share. I don't have quite enough for this, even if I wanted it. Granted, it goes up in stock value, so it's not that bad a deal. But 40 bucks gets me one of these, and it's going to make money now, so that's kind of cool. But that does shake up the valuations. Nobody else has enough cash on hand to buy anything, so it just probably shifts everybody down by 1, and he ends up as player 5 because there's cash here. Well, it may not be that simple because people made income off their privates. It's always important to make income off your privates. All right, so yeah, this is the ordering that we ended up with. Does that make sense? It does not. That should not be 2. That should be 4. I did precisely what I said not to do. Nothing is sold out. We go to the operating round. I have to swap batteries out and pay out the privates. It runs first. It makes a little 40 buck run, which 20 of it goes to the president. The other 20 doesn't go anywhere. No way I'm swallowing at this point. And that gives me enough money to buy a share of something next turn. I cannot even sell this. It's too big. I was looking at, well, what if I sell this for 45 bucks? Does that give me something more interesting? But not only does it not, minimum I have to raise is 180 bucks to start a company at this point. It also wouldn't be legal. I'd be cheating again. I want to avoid doing that this time. The play by the BCB, the play by the OFE, MW, gonna delay. They're gonna make the race down for Bonneau. Do I particularly want that? I don't know. But if I can get a 3 train, it's nice to have that set up. So screw it. I think OFE has to build to me. However, I've just changed the dynamics. I've taken it away from that offer that was a bonus for the OFE to, yeah, well, it's actually a bonus for me if you want to hook it up, or we can both go down to hell. B train crashes and we go to the stock round. I'm going to put a die on top of this because I think I need to break for a little bit. We can see they're not being very cooperative. Not surprising. My players seldom are. But we have neither of the two companies that have two trains on them are successfully running their two trains. Other people are getting close. We'll probably see this go the wrong way because EKG, unless they buy each other's shares, if one or the other buys the other shares. So the EKJ goes first. If he buys a VBW and he has money, everybody has money to buy shares of stuff, it might be advantageous, to do so and to set it up so that it helps both of us. And that's always an option, There's always the opportunity to work together. The other option is, well, what else am I going to buy into? So the EKJ fella has $80. He could buy his own share. There are reasons not to do that. Or he could buy an MW, which is at the same price point. The MW looks like it's going to do just peachy. I see no problem with that. So that's actually probably where I'm going to buy, is that $70 for this. So I'll probably turn that away and make it ugly for the VBW. Just to get an idea of, the kind of thinking that goes behind why you make certain stock purchases and why you make certain track lays and how they kind of coordinate together. And I'm sure that's all old hat to everyone, but my diarrhea of the mouth is running. One thing I'm a little worried about, this feels a little static in the sense of, there's certain companies that are better to bring out first, and at least in 5 players, everybody gets a company, and then we'll see what happens. But it really feels like it's going to come out in a very, very predictable fashion, in which the main thing that you're doing, and this reminds me too much of 1835 in some ways, is just optimizing your routes, which is not my favorite part of an XX game by any means. It's exciting to play it because it's new, but I've got these worries in the background at this point. I was pretty excited when I was fucking up, though. It felt so chaotic. And maybe there are other strategies with these privates that are not, maybe I haven't fallen upon what is truly an optimal strategy. Maybe there are many different options. It doesn't feel like it to me, though. It's just a gut feeling. So let's analyze the value of the best of the return rates, which it's hard to tell which that is. Is it this or is it that? And we'll look at that for a moment. And the flexibility of them. So for this guy, it's going to cost you $75, about the same price as the high end of the stock market, some of which have a couple of trades. Right now, the high end is making $50, but that's not what we're going to be hitting. We're going to be at 40, and 50 is $90. So $90, a quarter of that is 23. So you're making about the same money that you make off this. And then stock value is approximately the same, 70 to 75. A payout, I'll give $80. A single payout will increase this to 55, but that actually loses you $20, And then there's the ease of disposing. After every operating round, I get a stock round. I can sell stocks. They just go back to the bank. They don't hurt anyone. It's a little bit more complicated with this thing. I have to sell it to a company. Now, it may serve some positive benefits for the company, and the company can recoup whatever price I charge it, because it will get the current full value on it, and I can't charge more than the current full value. So, There's no issue with that. So the company's not actually going to get hurt, but the stocks are almost as easily moved as the privates. So the privates lose you money with the big guy. Let's take a look at the littlest guy. So he's kind of a bonus. I make $5 right away off his price, which is kind of cool. But I am only making 5 for something that is the same as a low-end company. Now, if we look at the low-end companies, one of them is going to be making the same kind of money as that other one. And I just don't think that these things are worth it at this point. They will go up in value again. I may have bought too many as it is. Because, again, stocks have their advantages. But you never know. All right. So that means I'm going to focus more on stocks than on the privates, although maybe somebody will see some kind of magical synergy where they want a private terribly much. This stock round, I doubt it. 2 players who had a possibility to buy anything. Everybody's got a possibility to buy something, except for this guy. He has almost no money. What'd he do? How'd he fuck up? That doesn't look right. Oh, he bought a share. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, everybody has enough money to buy a share of something. Some people could make the decision to try to cut out this guy from being able to buy something. I don't think that's worth it. It would have required a concentrated effort. So the first 2 players picked up MWs because MW has 2 trains on it. It's set up nicely with a single share. There's no danger whatsoever, really. And it's going to make good money. And it's at the high end of the value, which means it makes $10 a share instead of 5. But there's no more MWs left when we come to the owner of the MW, which makes him sad. And so what does he want to buy? Does he want to buy the high-valued EXJ, which obviously isn't going to make as good a return on the money, but how much of a return is it going to make on the certificate? Because I can only buy one certificate. I got $80. The price isn't down to 40 on anything. So, you know, I can buy 1 share. And in that case, we're looking at, again, 1 train probably in that $13 because it's probably going to run around 50 at this point. Plus 10, that's $23. If we take a look at the OFE, which is running the double, that's going to be running, what did I say, 510. So that's going to be running around $25 instead of the 13. Plus 5 is 30. So what were we looking at? 23 to 30. I think it's best to go with the other. And that gives me the cheaper one, and that gives me a bonus because I have more cash on hand. That means I'm more likely to get the first purchase or an early purchase next turn, and I also have more cash to make an extra purchase or whatever, just sitting around. I don't have as much invested in at risk. Therefore, somewhat trickier call. He has $65. He'd love to buy one of those OFEs, but they're sold out. All the good stuff's gone. So I can't buy either of these. That leaves me with BCB or VBW. And what are our prospects? So this is running at 40, and we're not up to the D trains yet, so it's not going to go anywhere too big. It could go up to 50. That's interesting. This is already at 50. And we're a little closer to getting a double run. So I'm going to go with the VBW. Although we're not going to get the double run this time. So that's kind of an issue, but this is already making the money. Push into the operating round. Nobody else had anything to trade around. The president of the VBW bought an extra one, and that allows the OFE, the VBW, and the MW to all go up in value, with the other 2 remaining cheaper. I had a little bit of an iffy question. Hey, does he want to buy a 3rd share of his own company? He's allowed to, I think. Uh-oh. Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll have to change things if that's the case. Whoops. At least we're catching it early, right? Let's find the restrictions. Where are they? Shit. Okay, I don't know where it is. There's a limitation on shares that you can hold. And I can't find it. But yeah, there is a limitation on how many shares you can hold in a company. And I'm not sure I can hold 75% of the company. Crap. The certificate limits rules. 60% of a large or medium, 75% of a small. So I am allowed to do that. So this was actually somewhat problematic in terms of a choice, not just because I thought I cheated, but because I'm buying a share of my own company. I might want to sell it. That's going to reduce the value. Of course, I gained the value on selling it out, and it wasn't going to sell out this round if I didn't do that. And it is the better choice. I had enough cash that I could have bought the BCB instead. But the BCB looks, like I said, a little bit less valuable. So we'll go with this. One of the things that I'm finding is that the analysis on the purchase choices and everything, I'm expounding on it. Why? Because it's easy to do so. It's very easy to see. Wow, somebody's just made a jump over there. Squirrel probably. It's easy to see how much what the immediate gains are, etc., and what the valuation is of stuff. That's a level of analysis that's a lot harder to make in other XX games, especially if you're this early in, I think. Or maybe I don't have to put that much analysis. Maybe I have more choices here. I'm not sure which. If it's the former, if it's that I'm making the analysis because it's easy, that's a bad sign for the game. If I'm making the analysis because it's necessary and that easy to choose decisions are showing up, are requiring a little bit of thought comparatively, that's actually a good thing. On the other hand, maybe I'm just stupid today, and so that they're, or incredibly bright, but I think it's more likely I'm stupid, and that it seems more relevant to make these. I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like it's hard to make the analysis, though, so I don't know. A couple of the early runners, the MW, which for some reason I put up to 7 when it's not. I had the VBW. I am having a hard time telling those apart, but that was only worth 7. That's not right, is it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Should have been 9. Did I pay out 90 on it? Jeez. I think I did, but no, I did not. So I owe some extra money. I'll clean that up in a moment. I don't know why I counted 2, 4, 7 instead of 4 and 5. I think I'm stupid today. Let's go with that. But the BCB built into Prague, and I'm putting these markers here just to show who is due dots there. That's going to matter when I'm choosing starting companies, because I'm not familiar with this board the way I am, say, with the 1830 board, where I know where the companies are. The back sides of these, some of them, this is the income ones that are specialized. They look significantly different, so they really don't look the same. These guys look exactly the same on the back. Most of the counters do. I'm not sure why they made that choice. I would rather actually everything be kind of like this, because I might have uses for that extra information, as I do here, but it's no big deal. But maybe I do on this chart or something else. Okay, now the OFE ran and paid out. A little bit better than the MW. Here comes an interesting question is, do I want to buy the 3 train? I think the answer is no. I've got a nice 2 train run here. With the 3 train though, I could build this up and then run a 3 through here and a 2 through there. Okay. And maybe somewhere better, I don't know. But then eventually I could run a 2, a 3, and a 2 to there after a couple of upgrades. That seems like a big stretch to be spending 120 bucks that I don't have. I could have swallowed 100 bucks. Let's now take a look at whether or not I can want to buy this for 50. I do have 50 bucks there. So I have 130 bucks here. That could go up to 180. 180 means I could start a company, a bigger company with shit value. Huh. So what are my bigger companies? Well, one is the Brunel, which is near me. 2, 3, 4. There's got to be one more. Wonder where that other one is. Ah, the ATE. Yeah. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's not that one. I must have something covered. So I've got these two. This is the Brunel one. This is the ATE. There's a green BTE. Wonder where that is. Alright, I'm going to have to look for that. That's hiding somewhere. I don't see anything I'm dying to get control on. This is interesting because I might be able to control the BCB spot, but I'm going to need to token with one of my 2 companies if that's the case. This is interesting for similar reasons. I might get additional track lays there. So I am going to consider that in the sense of on a 1, I will do that exchange. It gives me a jump on everyone else, right? And that's an interesting concept. Okay, I'll pass on that choice. I don't think it's overall a good choice, so that's why I only made it a 1. And now that puts me on the VBW. The VBW only has 1 train, is close to hooking up a second one, and here's the deal. If I hook up, let's say I get cut out of here, if I already have bought the 3 train, I can upgrade to green. And that looks promising to me. So I think I'll be building to buy a train. No, that's not correct. These are the C's coming out. These letter choices do not help. The C's do not give me yellow. So if I buy a train, 1 is going to rust. That'll leave 2 more. And then a D train to be bought. So yeah, I do not have that opportunity there. If I buy a 3 train, the main reason will be to go up to here. Do I want to do that? I don't know. I choose not to, but I build the track here because if he hooks me up, great, you know, and that might be his best move. He's definitely going into the Y. The question is, does EKJ hook me up? I paid out, and people got little bits of money. This was actually a 5 last time, not 4. Not buying the train. We're going to have the first rust. I'm sorry, we're going to have the... We're not having a rust yet. So this is the C train. The first C train goes, and that doesn't do anything interesting. Those are comprised of, though, a new type, the 3 train here, and we're still on 2+2s here, and there is nothing that's equivalent to, I don't know what the hell. There's nothing, there's no big train available yet. They're not purchasable anyway. So we did the rust, we go to the stock round, and I check to see how life is, because I have an appointment. Having to be somewhere at a time is just so alien to me. You know, even when I had to pick up the ashes, it was just, I had to get there before 5. It's a shorter walk at least. All right, let me start the stocks. MW wants to start things off with the Brno line. So I have 58 bucks in this, and enough cash that I can start it at that crappy $60 level, but I think that's why. I don't know. A little weird in this game. I sold it. It drops the value down from here to there. Great. The share goes back up there. That's where shares exist if players don't own them. Now I have cash. I buy 2 shares of this for 120 bucks, and I have not yet floated it. And yeah, I'm gonna have to play it over here. We'll see if I can end up with enough room. And that, I still have to buy another certificate to float it. And we go to the second player. We finished up the round with everything selling out. So let's get those. This is kind of complicated for my brains. Whoops. Everything's selling out that was already there. The KFN, that's the Brno line, is started. It only has 300 bucks on it, which isn't a whole hell of a lot. It started so damn low. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. This guy picked up an EKJ. He thinks it's in both players' best interests to connect up. It's not his choice. The EKJ is going to go first, but he just thinks this guy's going to go with it. Clearly, there's room for a 3 train going up this way and a 2 train here, and that's better than, you know, whatever other option might be open, at least in the short term. In the long term, the fact that the P's were cut off here is kind of iffy. But now there's a 4th one, which I think has to come out this way. I'll put this one underneath because it can't be played ever. Which is of some interest, at least. Once that upgrades to green. So there's some possibility he might want to head this way, but the problem with that is that's a 1, 2, 3, 4 train. This is no worse, but I gotta work harder to get there. And then let's see. He picked up another share, another of his own shares that boosted it up, and this guy picked up the final BCE or whatever, BCB, in order, you know, selling that out, just because it's better than the purchases up on the privates side of things. And then this guy had a fair amount of cash. He's $5 short from buying a private. He probably would have done it if he had the $5. Holding cash that doesn't make you money isn't terribly effective. But yeah, there wasn't available, and the cheapest thing out there is 58. So, you know, there's no competition between it and the cheapest of the privates. So that gets us to the operating round and the payouts for that. the medium companies show up on the Bs leads me to believe that I'm not cheating. This is the tricky stuff, right? Medium companies doesn't tell you when they start. Not there, at least. It does somewhere. I'm finding it hard to find information that I need to know, right? To the main railways. Phase changes. So normally phase changes is early in the rule book. It's really just an expectation thing that's making it difficult here. The medium company was available starting with phase B. That's where I thought it was. Phase D, when the 3 trains come out, that's when the big ones become available. So that's good to know. Those are interesting companies. All right. Say the mechanisms by which this game, the particular sequencing, etc., has me a little shaken up in terms of it's a little hard to find good stopping spaces. Stopping at the beginning of an operating round feels difficult to me. I'm not sure why. Mainly I'm worried that the privates will not get collected or something. And I have no real good reason for that except that there are all these different shapes and everything. So I feel like I kind of have to flow in and I have to stop at a stock round. Next operating round, or next stock round, there's 2 operating rounds in between. So that's kind of an interesting factor. When I check here, I'm allowed to keep 3 trains on one of these little companies up until the Ds come out. The Ds look like they were just bringing out a 3 train, so I kind of don't have room for these, and while I can sell one over there, it can't use it and it won't get an upgrade. It'll only get an upgrade if it takes over the company. Now that's a possibility. I could take over the company. The problem is I'm making good money off this thing. Sure, other people are riding it, but yeah, it's kind of a weird situation. If EKJ wanted to connect these up, you'd think it would have bought another train, but it may have been waiting on the 3 train to be available. Because Bs are only 2s, right? Well, yeah, Bs are only 2s. So this was, I think, well, Cs with 3s, and I think a C might have been available to me. I have the cash for it. I'm not quite sure why I wouldn't have upgraded. Given that I didn't upgrade and buy another train, I'm going to see if I'm going to be a dick, because the cost is less. I'm a dick. I'm a dick. He feels like it has something it can do, something of interest. There's a 3 train available for 120 bucks. I can't run 2 trains yet, and obviously I wouldn't be making money from it this turn anyway. But if I curve in to one of these connections, if I buy this, the KFN buys something, then the D train gets exported and green is available. The other reasonable option is that the KFN buys both if it really wants a 2+2 and a 3+3. I don't think it needs that. Wow, I'm kind of setting up my track the wrong way. I'm going to want these doinkers in there to get the extra cash. But that's fine. But yeah, so I think I'm going to lay track as though I'm able to build something. Now, here's the problem. This does not upgrade at green to anything but a terminus. So I'll be running a 2-train there. So I want to run a 3-train. So I think I want to go this way instead of through the Y. Because there isn't much of value down here, and this track's all set up already. That extra train, though, means that I can't really pile this money in there. I don't know if that's wise or not. See, here's the thing. If I don't buy that train, I might have been able to generate enough money. It wouldn't be a lot. It was like 170 something, which I might have been able to get to the $60 starting point. But I wasn't counting selling this, so that's another 60. So hold on, maybe I do want to sell for 30 bucks, sell one of them. Right now the price is 55, but so my current cash, I expect to get about 10 bucks off this, 13 to be exact. So 50, 60, 70, 130, 160. Not enough. It's not enough to go. If I hadn't bought the train, I might have been able to pile enough cash into my pocket to be able to do things. My tendency is to run things for as long as I can, but I see how short the game is remaining, right? This is not promising. Wow. Oh boy, and if it is that short, well, you know, expectations of reaching out here or something are out of the question, but also, you know, do I want to swallow? I don't know. Not if I want to fold it into another company and get rid of the liability that way. So I don't know, but I don't think I want to buy, I don't think I want to buy my privates yet. It seems all shaken up, you know. I just started the KFN here. I don't have a sharp curve for a Y, so I got nowhere that I can go easily. I would have liked to have hooked around to these two, but maybe I do this or something, who knows. But now comes sort of the first time that I question buying a dot. I already picked up my train, failed to pay out, etc. But do I want to dot? I could dot this space. MW doesn't care that I do that. And might actually be in favor because it moves early. We might be able to get 2 dots in there. Is that where we want our 2 dots? You know, I don't know. The reason I don't know is that's not getting me close to Prague. But this is close to 2 Ys. And that seems appealing to me. So I'm going to say yes. Thank you. I will buy a $40 dot up here and start to create problems. I did not buy the D train. I don't have enough room to run 2 big trains. This thing only cost me 80. That's pretty sweet. That's almost as cheap as the little trains everybody else is running. Of course, it's not very... It won't last long, and these things can't convert because they don't have another side to them. So even if I sell this in, I got no room for anything but A's there, so that's not very good. And I don't think I want to sell this. So walking in without a whole hell of a lot of money, I got complete control of my companies, that's not a problem. But I'm walking in with only 80 bucks. But I don't see any big advantage to turning 55 bucks out of here, especially this cost almost that much to replace if I want one. So I'm going to hold off on that, and looks like VBW's next. VBW is looking at the EKJ guy and saying, you're not only a dick, you're stupid. You could have made more money if you hooked up. Greens are coming out. Why did you fucking do that? You know, I'm laying track here because the greens aren't out yet. Could have maybe tried to do something to hook up the KK, but here's the thing. It costs a minimum of 90 a share. I gotta buy 5 shares of that. That's a big, there's 10 shares in the company. So I have to buy 5 of them to float it, which means it's gonna cost me 450 bucks. I don't have that kind of money. I could convert this for 55. Yeah, it's just not there. You know, this is worth 58 again, and I've got another share of my own company, which isn't worth very much. It looks really hard to get those state railroads out in a 5-player game. Might be very different in a smaller number of players, because if you start your railways at a higher starting value, if you have, you know, maybe more money invested in some of these that make you money when you turn them in or whatever, you might end up with an easier route towards getting those suckers out. But, you know, this is how we learn the game. First of the D trains falls, which opens things up for the OFE to lay a green track. Where do I want to put it? I don't know. I got dot capability. I got all kind of neat things available. OFE is a complicated turn, to tell you the truth. So I laid this because that is the only piece that can go there, and I don't want to have to use up a special ability to get that piece. Plus, it gives me the best income. I jump up to a 12 at this point. I got a pair of deuces. I actually have room to run a 3rd train at this point. I don't have money though. I haven't made my choice yet. The game's short. I want to pay out because of that. 120 bucks, I'm holding 75%. I'll get 90. That's a big chunk of change. Could I get more with that 120 going in here? Not if I buy a train. My move with that 120 would probably be to buy this for 55. I don't think that makes a lot of sense, and I don't think 3 trains is as sensible either. I think I want to go to the mid-level company. I don't have to take one that's near me. I can make a merger, if I so desire, with something that's not close to me, which is good because there's nothing close to me. Only the KFN was nearby. So I think I'm going to be paying out, and then I'll see if I want 55 bucks going into my pocket. Mergers, it behooves you to get your $40 token off the smaller companies before you merge. As long as you're not doubling up tokens, in which case you just lose that money. You don't ever want to double up tokens. So that's one of the questions with this. If I'm going to merge these 2 companies, I may not want the MW token there. Something to consider, because whatever money I spend on that, that disappears. But the additional tokens that you get from a company are all $100 tokens. So just a lot of little things to keep in mind of how you can do yourself some damage in a very short period of time. 1880 is the same kind of thing, this sort of rushed game. It feels, I don't know. I know that's why some people like it. For me, it feels weird to have such a, you know, it's so starkly short. I've seen some XXs that end quicker than I expected. And I'm kind of like, huh, well, that was faster than I thought. But it's in the player's hands. Like the train exporting, here's another feature that's not in the player's hands, and they cannot prevent it from happening. The game is just going to take that many rounds, period. Here's what's interesting. I think I can boost all the way up to a big company if I buy this. Let me check my math. I have 165. We'll ignore the ones. They're not going to matter. 165, 170, 250, 350. I'm not going first. That's a problem. 350, 410, make it 415 because I have some ones left. 55, 460, 470. It only takes 450 to do this. I need that 55 bucks though, or at least some portion of it. So I am going to actually buy this over to there to get the extra cash in there. That creates a revenue gainer, and it gives me a couple of interesting options that I can take advantage of at different times. And it's not a kill, right? During my company's operating round, I can recoup that money plus some bonuses. So no problem there. Obviously, I can't buy a train or a token, so I've moved up. We go to the train kill. One of the D's goes. We go to the stock round, and maybe I will remember that this is intending to buy a big guy. And honestly, I kind of want the Prussian. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that there to help remind me, because making that jump is a big deal, right? Why do I want the Prussian? Or why do I want a big guy? I want the Prussian because I think it interacts better, but I might want the UG instead. Just in terms of, well, that kind of opens me up down here. There might be neat shit going on. But the Prussian could get me down here, and that looks kind of appealing to me. And then I'm still within striking distance, which is intriguing to me. But the reason I want it is for that plus 50 bonus that I can get by running out of that space. That's the big deal there. And these bigger, sure, they're more expensive, but these bigger trains that it can ignore doinks, so I can just build through doinks without thinking about it. All kind of stuff like that. So I think I'm going to aim for that jump right away. Yeah. All right then, we're going to send this one up because I've been videoing for a while, and that's probably the end of things until after I leave the house and come back. And I have no idea how long I'm going to be out. I have to work tomorrow, so it's not going to be late, but you know, I took a couple of days off, and I think it was a good idea. Look, spring rebirth. It's hard to believe that, you know, just normal nature goes on. Even not facing what I'm facing right now, just the whole COVID shit and everything, life seems so different in so many ways that when I see, you know, wow, like last year, summer seemed so odd to me. I don't know. So just wrong that life could be normal, and that has magnified itself tremendously just now.